right-handed from three. Hull comes soaring in again. This uncanny knack. And cashes in.
Is on the upper left wing. Just got inside. Circles around. Pure effort.
Game 3 wasn't just a basketball game. It felt like a heist in broad daylight. The Indiana Fever had the upper hand. They were competing with fire. They were leading with grit. And then, in what felt like the blink of an eye, a storm of whistles ripped the control of the game straight out of their hands. Suddenly, the Las Vegas Aces were walking to the foul line as if it were their second home. Aliyah Wilson was throwing elbows left and right, yet somehow Aliyah Boston couldn't even get the respect of having her challenges recognized. Everyone inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse witnessed it unfold. Social media lit up with clips and outrage. Even the box score itself reflected what fans were screaming. The Aces didn't win this one with superior play. They were gifted that victory by the officials. And the most frustrating part of all was that this circus overshadowed what should have been remembered as Lexie Hull's gutsy, career-defining performance. The frustration started early. Take Aliyah Wilson, who sets a screen but extends her leg out. By the book, that's an illegal screen. Yet instead of calling it on her, the whistle blows on Lexie Hull. Then Wilson and Alyssa Smith collide with Michaela Timpson, fouling her clear as day, but somehow no call comes. That possession alone could have put Indiana ahead by one heading into halftime. Instead, the Aces went to the line, and by the break, what should have been the Fever holding a lead turned into Vegas sitting 3 points ahead. So the question becomes, why is it that Indiana doesn't get calls even when they're getting battered, but Vegas gets handed calls when there's hardly any contact at all? And the truth is, this wasn't the first time Indiana had to play against two opponents at once, the Aces and the officiating crew. From Game 1 of the series, the refereeing leaned toward Vegas like a crutch, and it warped the balance of competition completely out of shape. Everyone saw it in the opener. Las Vegas tried to claw back into the contest not with skill, but by camping at the free throw line. Indiana's defense, tough, physical, but clean, was punished repeatedly, while the Aces' physicality was brushed off as if nothing happened. The Fever could body up, stand their ground, and somehow the possession would still end with Vegas at the charity stripe. That set the tone for the entire series. By Game 2, the pattern had grown louder, and the whistles felt even more one-sided, dragging Indiana's rhythm down play after play. Even head coach Stephanie White couldn't ignore it any longer. After Game 2, when asked about why her team struggled to find any offensive flow, she made it plain. It's impossible to build rhythm when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. She explained that with Vegas constantly at the line, Indiana couldn't get into transition, couldn't push tempo, and couldn't execute their game plan. Offense, she reminded reporters, is built on rhythm, timing, and spacing, and the Aces' physical play, combined with the way it was officiated, disrupted Indiana's entire comfort zone. They couldn't counter it with off-ball actions, back cuts, or movement, because the game was chopped up into endless free throws. By the time Game 3 arrived, the whistle-happy refereeing wasn't just an annoyance anymore. It had become a brick wall that the Fever couldn't climb over. The nightmare unfolded in the third quarter when Aliyah Boston attempted to challenge a foul call against Jackie Young. Stephanie White signaled for the review, the bench prepared for it, but the officials refused to acknowledge it. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray drilled a three-pointer. Just like that, the roar of Gainbridge turned into disbelief as Indiana's lead evaporated. It wasn't just about 3 points, it was the momentum swing, the energy sucked out of the arena, and the message that even when Indiana earned separation, whistles could erase it in an instant. That sequence became the flashpoint. Clips went viral online showing how Indiana's challenge was ignored, only for Vegas to immediately score. Side-by-side breakdowns showed flops, cheap pushes, and repeated elbows from Aces players that never drew whistles. Aliyah Wilson shoved players in the back, yet it was Fever players like Alyssa Smith or Aliyah Boston who were whistled for even lighter contact. On one replay, Smith is clearly fouled but no call is made. Yet moments later, Wilson gets free throws for minimal contact. Another clip showed Alyssa Smith being called for a foul when she wasn't even touched. The evidence piled up, and it became impossible not to feel that the scales weren't just tilted, but intentionally weighted. Meanwhile, when Indiana's players ran into Vegas screens that were clearly illegal, nothing was called. Lexie Hull, for instance, was whistled for phantom contact while Vegas bigs were allowed to body check. Stephanie White attempted multiple challenges, but somehow officials blocked her from using them, twice in the same game. And when Asia Wilson started acting visibly frustrated, throwing her arms and stomping around, she wasn't reprimanded. Instead, the whistles kept flowing her way. But here's where Game 3 flipped from tragedy to inspiration. Because while the officials tried to drown the fever in foul calls, one player refused to let the narrative belong to Vegas. Lexie Hull turned this controversial contest into the night that defined her career. This was a player who, by all accounts, wasn't even supposed to be on the court. After tweaking her back in Game 1, Hull entered Game 3 listed as questionable, her warm-ups showing stiffness, her movements visibly limited. Fans didn't expect much from her, maybe a few minutes as a breather for the starters. Instead, she delivered the kind of performance fever fans will talk about for years. Despite grimacing with pain, Hull battled through every possession. She put up a stat line that looked like it belonged to a fully healthy star: 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. She hit 6 of her 10 shots, including 3 massive three-pointers that felt like lifelines every time Vegas started to swing momentum. Those triples tied her with a franchise playoff record across 2 games, 8 total threes, cementing her place in Fever playoff history. She scored a career playoff high of 16, and she did it all while clearly laboring with pain. Hull's performance wasn't just about numbers, it was about heart. She threw herself on the floor for loose balls, wrestled taller Aces players for rebounds, and kept possessions alive that should have been lost. Cameras caught her wincing, but she still boxed out, still dove, still fought for every inch. And each time Vegas looked ready to run away with the game thanks to the officials, Hull dragged Indiana back into the fight. The fans recognized it instantly, showering her with energy every time she connected from deep. To them, she became the embodiment of this Fever squad, beaten down, underestimated, but absolutely unwilling to quit. And while Hull became the hero, the contrast on the other side couldn't have been more glaring. Aya Wilson, the league's face, an MVP candidate, had a night to forget. After opening the game with a three-pointer, her shooting collapsed. By halftime, she was an abysmal 1-4-11 from the field. She finished at 6-4-20, scoring just 13 points on 20 attempts. Instead of bullying inside, she settled for awkward fadeaways, clearly frustrated as Aliyah Boston forced her into bad shots possession after possession. Wilson even missed 11 straight attempts, a staggering collapse for a player of her caliber. And yet, despite Wilson's struggles, the Aces still left with the win. That's what cut deepest for Fever fans. Jackie Young's 25 points bailed Vegas out, Chelsea Gray added 15 of her own, and Alyssa Smith chipped in just enough on both ends. The team pieced it together while the officials kept the momentum on their side. Media coverage afterward softened Wilson's poor night by talking about her rebounds and defense, but what got buried was the truth. Aliyah Boston locked her down. Boston's defense made Wilson uncomfortable, cut off her space, and forced her into inefficient, low-percentage shots. That's elite defense, and it deserved recognition. Yet Vegas still enjoyed the benefit of the doubt. Even as Wilson threw elbows and hacked underneath, whistles rarely came. Becky Hammon even complained that Wilson was fouled too often, pointing to her one free throw attempt across 38 minutes. The irony was obvious. Vegas had lived at the line all series, enjoying more freebies than Indiana, and still their coach complained. The reality was clear. Indiana had contained Wilson, and officiating ensured that containment didn't matter. That's why the Aces' victory rang hollow. Instead of their MVP dominating, she was saved by teammates and officiating. That's not a statement win. That's an escape. Now, everything shifts back to Gainbridge Fieldhouse for Game 4. And this isn't just another playoff matchup. It's Indiana's survival. One loss, and the season is over. Injuries have piled up, whistles have cut them down, but this game is the Fever's chance to flip the script. Becky Hammon has already started planting seeds about officiating, suggesting it might swing Indiana's way at home, which only highlights how much Vegas has benefited through the first 3 games. But Sunday won't be easy for Vegas. Gainbridge will be filled with 17,000 fans, every one of them roaring for the Fever. It won't be quiet. Every stop, every Boston bucket, every Hull 3 will turn the building into a storm of noise. Indiana's strategy is clear. Get Boston touches down low, establish Kelsey Mitchell early to shake off her Game 3 struggles, and let Hull's momentum carry the team once again. Wilson is shaken, Jackie Young is carrying too much, and Vegas hasn't faced a playoff environment like this one on the road. Game 3 was stolen, but Game 4 is Indiana's chance to expose just how fragile Vegas looks when the whistles don't carry them. This isn't only about surviving another night, it's about sending a message that the Fever's rise isn't temporary. With Caitlin Clark set to return next season, this core is only getting stronger. The Indiana Fever didn't lose Game 3. They had it taken from them. And now, in front of their home crowd, they have the chance to roar back louder than ever. So tell us, do you believe the Fever can bounce back? If your answer is yes, drop a comment saying, "Let's go Fever." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss what's next. Click on the video on your screen right now, and we'll see you in the next one.